Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. Welcome back to the Producer's Perspective Live. I always think there's going to be like, I'm looking for like that, like, we're ready to go. Are you ready? I can't hear the cheering because we're live streaming, but you can cheer in the comments. Let me hear some applause in those comments. Throw me some crazy emojis. Show me that you're yelling from wherever you are. Uh-oh, we got an audio issue. Do we have an audio issue? I'm looking in the comments. Someone give me a sign. Yes, we got some woos. Can you hear me okay? Everybody all right? Yes, yes. You guys make me very nervous when I hear audio issues. Sound good here. Thank God. Thank God. It makes me so nervous when someone says, okay. Anyway, cheer, cheer, cheer. Lots of emojis. Welcome to the Producer's Perspective Live. Very special guest tonight. We have my good dear friend and one of the smartest directors I've ever worked with. And I am working on something with her, but maybe more about that later. Her name is Leigh Silverman, Chinglish, Violet, Lifespan of Effect, Grand Horizons. She's going to talk about what she's been working on, how she's getting through this. We also have a very special surprise guest that we just added. We'll get to that in a minute, but I'm very excited to be here. Thank you all for sticking with us through all this thing. We're all in this together, right? And I'm thrilled that you're with me here tonight. Don't forget, we do this for the Actors Fund to draw attention, put a spotlight on the Actors Fund. If you can, we got a tip jar right there on my Facebook page. Throw a little bucks in. I don't know, throw $1 in for every time you jump on. You know, it's like, it'll add up. It'll add up. Hopefully it'll only be like $12 because something miraculous is going to happen and this will all be gone soon. Let's just all send some prayers up north. But we're probably going to be stuck here a little while. So donate if you can, do whatever you can. Let's just try to help those that are really in need right now. Also, I wanted to say we unfortunately, we lost another member of our community just yesterday due to COVID-19. Adam Schlesinger, the composer of Crybaby, My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, died very young, 52 years of age because of this damn thing. So our hearts go out to his family and to everyone who's been affected by this. I know a lot of people are mourning his loss today. And I'm sorry, listen, I didn't know him. I actually offered him a couple jobs because I was desperate to work with him because he was so freaking talented. He did say no to them, which I should have pushed harder because I always wanted to actually just have a meeting with the guy, and I never got that. So our thoughts go out to, again, his whole family and to everyone battling with this right now. It's tough, and it seems to hit a little closer to home every day, which is why we got to do our duty to stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, stay home. And that's what our special guest is going to talk to us about. I scroll through the Instagram, as we all do, especially now, like, right, just hoping for some good news. And I came across the Instagram of one of my favorite emerging composers. His name is Drew Gasparini. And he had this very open and honest Instagram post and story about his recent battle with COVID-19. He did test positive, he developed symptoms, and frankly, he just told us how bad the symptoms were. And I wrote a blog today about that post that he made, and I wrote a blog about how, unfortunately, in this world, a lot of people don't do things unless there's really something in it for them. And how the politicians out there and all those great people that are doing a lot of work, Fauci, et cetera, they keep saying, you know, save lives, right? And by staying home. And my whole point of this blog post was that you need to do what Drew did. Tell everyone how fucking awful this thing is, and you don't want it, because that's how I felt. And I wanted to bring someone on that had some personal experience with it, and he's on the other side. He is recovering, thank God. But please welcome to the podcast, very special guest, Drew Gasparini. Hello, Drew.
Hi, hello.
How are you, my friend?
Well, like you said, I'm coming out the other end of this thing. Last week was pure hell, pure torture, and the last 2 days I've started to feel a little bit closer to old Drew. So that's a good thing. I'm starting to get my energy and my appetite back. And yeah, I see the light at the end of this tunnel, at least on my end here.
So how long from, and you're not even, it doesn't even sound like you're fully recovered yet. How long has it been?
This is the 12th day of symptoms, and I'm still experiencing some symptoms like fatigue and a little bit of nausea here and there, and I still have a bit of a cough that I'm doing my best to restrain right now.
Don't
Um, and but it got really bad last week. I would say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All 4 of those days in a row were 7 were just wretched.
Mm. And did you know right away when you started to get, what was the first symptom that you got that you were like, something isn't right here?
The symptom that I experienced that made me want to call the doctor and then get the test and check and see where I was I lost the sense of taste and smell. And it was right then that I was like, that's not right. And I checked my temperature and I didn't even feel like I had a fever, but my temperature was close to 103.
Oh,
And so I got right on it right away. And I was told everything that you've been hearing on the news. And I stayed basically in bed for 7 days, and it was very, very painful. It was horrible. Hi, Mary. How you doing? I'm seeing little comments.
yeah, therefore you got a lot of fans out there. You got a lot of fans. Well, listen, what if you had a message to tell everybody right now, if everyone was listening, what would you say about this massive?
Yeah, man, I've been kind of saying it even before I got sick. I was just really adamant about being vigilant, staying informed, and staying inside. There is a very global thing happening here, and I am really turned off by the people who are trying to bend the rules so that it suits them. And that's not what this is about right now. And I really appreciate the artist community and the theater community because you really see people band together in scenarios like this. And I think that the theater kids of the world are being really good at being at the forefront of saying, stay inside, stay inside, stay inside. I hate to say it because a lot of my fans are younger people, but please, younger people, stop thinking this won't affect you. It's a very real thing, and I wouldn't wish what I went through on anybody. And I'm one of the lucky ones. And that's what's very scary about this is there were moments when I truly didn't think I was going to wake up the next day. And people who have it a lot worse. And my prayers go out to like Nick Cordero right now, who is our Broadway friend, and he's in ICU, and that is a scary situation. It's scary when you don't have to go to the hospital, let alone I just can't imagine. So don't do the selfish thing. Do what's right and stay inside. That would be my big overall message.
What are you doing now that you've almost on the other side of this? And
Yeah.
obviously you're going to still have to stay inside a little bit. Are you going to work on that Karate Kid musical?
You know I am, man. We had our reading at the end of February, right before everything got very scary in the city, and the reading went so crazy well. I still can't believe how well it went, and we got some work to do, so we're doing some tweaks on the score and the script. Alex Brightman and I are working on a show called It's Kind of a Funny Story, and we got our notes for that right before all this happened, so we're still looking at that kind of stuff. And last Friday and tomorrow we're releasing a single for my new album that's coming out called We Aren't Kids Anymore, featuring Lily Cooper, Colton Ryan, Bonnie Milligan, Nicholas Christopher, and Raymond Lee. And so all during all of this, I'm still putting music out there. I'm still working on the stuff because I know that when this all blows over, they're so ready. They cannot wait for theater to be back and for our community to be back and the escapism to be there for them. So we're working to make sure it's there.
And Mary's going to throw up your website into the live comments so everyone can go check it out and keep up to date on all that stuff. But what I love about theater makers in general, and what I love about you is you, like, as soon as you started talking about getting back in there and getting stuff made, like your energy I could just see the old Drew right there. So
you're right, man. You are right.
It's the best medicine of all. Is creative
I agree.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for just spending a little time. We don't want to take up.
Absolutely, dude. No, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you.
My pleasure. You take care.
You got it, buddy.
Everybody, Drew, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
His advice, everybody. His advice. It was not a great experience for him. Check out my blog. I literally posted his story there, and it's not fun. It's not fun. You will not want to get it. You will stay inside. I promise you to beat this thing. But I'm so glad to see him back working. He's a fantastic talent, and we're going to see his name on Broadway marquees. I have no doubt. Speaking of people's names on Broadway marquees, let's go to our featured guest of the day. Her name has been on a whole bunch of marquees. Please welcome to the podcast, Leigh Silverman. Hi, Leigh.
Hi.
How are you?
I mean, I'm really grateful right now. I'm so grateful that Drew is better, and I'm so grateful to be healthy and stuck in my apartment in Brooklyn. So I'm happy to see you, Ken, and I'm just holding the theater community so close right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad we have each other, and I'm so thankful for people like you to join me, because frankly, I just love seeing people I know and like every day. It's just nice to know that you're somewhere. You're in the city, right?
I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're not too far away, and when we're all just kind of trapped here throughout the day, it's good to know that there are people all around wanting to gather, and unfortunately we can't. One of the first questions I ask everyone now is, where were you when the virus hit the fan? Like, where were you when you were like, oh shit, this is different, I gotta go home, I gotta do something?
I was on a vacation with my dad. We were skiing in Mont Tremblant, which is a few hours north of Montreal. I had opened the third of 3 shows that I directed this season. I hadn't had a day off from rehearsing in many, many, many months. And my dad and I were together. And when we left, it was like, oh, this thing seems to be really progressing, but it seems fine for us to go. And 5 days later, we flew home, and I did the first thing that I think any sane person would do, and immediately got a Costco membership. And got in the car. My girlfriend is a stage manager, and she was stage managing the Lehman trilogy. And so she had gone into the city to get her calling book. This was that Thursday, and I picked her up from the subway. We drove to the Costco, and we bought a lot of frozen tortellini. Like pouring with sweat, with like thousands of other people, and we've basically been in isolation since, eating frozen tortellini.
And so how has your professional life also been affected? Where you have readings or shows, or what's happening there?
It's interesting. I had a show running, Ethan Lipton's musical called Show, that closed also on the 12th. That was our last performance, unfortunately. And, it's been I'm the vice president of SDC, which is the Directors and Choreographers Union. And a lot of my time is spent talking with the board and the staff there about what's happening to my colleagues with all the cancellations, with the postponements, putting a relief effort together. I've been very hooked into relief efforts that SDC is doing, and also trying to, I think, figure out how to, I'm such a kind of anxious person, and I always put all of that into my work, and I like to stay super busy, and it's like really survive. And so I've been trying to really separate what feels just like chaotic productivity and panic productivity with like actual conscious, thoughtful, deliberate action that I personally can take, and ways to try and engage with my colleagues and friends. And I've been trying to keep projects that I have coming up going forward. So I'm very excited about a show that I'm doing in the fall with Shayna Taub. We're working on a musical about the suffrage movement. Oh, yeah. And we have a workshop that's coming up the week after next. And I said to the public, they were producing this workshop, and I said, please don't cancel it. I'll figure out how to do it. So I've just immersed myself into the world of online platforming, and we're going to try and figure out how to do the workshop. I really wanted people to get paid. I didn't want to have more disappointment. I wanted there to be something for people to look forward to. And I think we don't know where we'll all be day to day. We don't know how we're going to wake up feeling. And so I also want to create space to not know what's going to happen to family and friends and loved ones. Also, I do feel like creating in this moment is what we do. And so we're going to go ahead. We're going to do an online workshop.
Oh my God.
Show. I'll let you know how that goes. It's, learning music over the internet we'll see, but it's been great. Shane has been working really hard. I'm working with Doug Wright on a new play that Sean Hayes is gonna be in, that we're doing at the Goodman in the winter, and we're gonna do a little online reading of that. I just feel so invested in trying to both be realistic about where we are right now in our community, and also hold on to the hope that we will all be able to keep working together in the future in some way, someday. And I think every day I ride that roller coaster like we all do of total despair. And then I just feel like it's also our responsibility, particularly for those of us who are healthy, to have the hope and to the dream of being on the other side of this.
What I love about all the things you're doing is that you just took it upon yourself. You called the public and said, we're doing this workshop as the director. I mean, that's some people may say like a producer type thing, whatever. But you're really becoming the entrepreneur behind this, or the producer behind all these shows. Like, no, we're gonna do this thing, which I'm sure people so love and so appreciate.
Yeah, or they're just like, damn, she's bossy.
I get that all the time. So I get that all the time. But no, it's right now. I think it's so important that, because other people are. I think most people right now are just like ships without a sail, just like wherever the waves are pushing them, they're going. So to have someone like yourself say, no, we're going to do this online workshop. And if it sucks, who the fuck cares? We're just going to do something together.
That's it. And I also feel like this is this weird thing about directors, right? Because we need other people. And what we do is ephemeral. Like, it's not, and I know there's a lot of for writers, how can you write in the middle of this? Or for actors, how do you, how do we all in our own worlds hold on to the thing that we can do? But I think for directors in particular, it's a very strange moment to think about what we do and how much we need other people to do it. And certainly when we think about, I've talked to many, many of my friends and colleagues about what is a rehearsal room going to be like when we go back, and how do we keep our actors safe? How do we keep our rooms and our stages safe? How do we think of ourselves as people in this moment who bring people together, when right now that is actually a hazard, that is actually dangerous? When particularly you have always felt maybe in a lofty way that what we do is actually brings people together and can save lives and make a difference. And when you hold that, that's been a thing I believed about theater always. And so this is a really hard moment to think about, that actually bringing people together is dangerous. It's not safe, and it won't be for some time. And we also have to accept that and think about doing things differently.
Yeah, it's the thing for me is the distraction that's going to happen very early. Like I was in Cleveland seeing Jesus Christ Superstar the night that the president, as they call him, was delivering an address, and that's the night he said no more travel from Europe as of Monday. So it was starting to get really serious that night. And I was sitting there just being like, this is a little odd. And then, of course, it was like a 3,000 seat theater, you know? So someone coughed, of course, and instantly you do this thing. And that's I think, going to be the challenge as we get back, even when we get the all clear, is just how we make our audiences comfortable with like, no, it's okay now, as okay as we can say it is, and just try to enjoy the experience. Do you think that will change what the types of shows that audiences want to see? Do you think they'll crave a certain type of entertainment coming out of this?
I mean, I think that's really the question, right? Like, what are people, I mean, there's a real trauma that is happening right now. We are societally, we are dealing with each other differently. We are walking in the park and we are dodging and weaving each other. We are, I've made more conscious effort to look people in the eye, to smile, which is even harder to do when people are wearing masks. I mean, we are learning new social habits that are stripping us of a certain kind of humanity and a certain kind of privilege that I have always felt about living in New York, which is about the way that we rub up against each other, you know, and like all the time, you know, plenty of time, you know, I'm just like, there are too many people, you know, I'm riding the subway, everything, but like about New York, that is, you know, it is why I am a New Yorker and why I live here and why I work in the theater, because I crave breathing in a room with other people in the dark and having that cathartic experience. And when I think about fundamentally what is going to change after this, partly that feels terrifying. I mean, even just watching a TV show or something now, I see people like touch hands or something, and I'm like, it's like, it's so weird what it's done to us. And it has only been, I mean, 3 weeks, it feels like 15 years, but it has only really been 3 weeks. And, you know, I think today is like day 22 that we've been in isolation. And I think, what is a prolonged period of this? Yes, we're going to want to come out of this and be together, but we're going to be afraid. We are already afraid. And so what are the stories that we're going to want to tell? How are we going to want to tell them to help us collectively get over the trauma? And we are the lucky ones who are privileged in this moment to be thinking about these questions, because we're not, you know, so I think we have a lot, we're going to have questions on the other side of this. And it's going to be, and also I think because it's going to be very hard for people to sustain emotionally, financially. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to grapple with over this time.
I want to go back to something you said early in the podcast about, which no one else has brought up, and it's so insightful, this idea of like actual productivity versus panic productivity. Because I know I felt the same thing of like, I just got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, just to occupy my mind. I mean, I think we're similar personalities. I think most people in our position who make shit, and we get our own projects going, are like that. We got to keep things going, but there's a moment. So how do you know when you're doing one or the other? Can you feel something? How do you know to shift that in yourself?
I think that in a way it's every day. And I think that we're sort of, particularly if you were here during Hurricane Sandy and here during 9/11, there was sort of this thing where like there was the impact of the crisis. And then, but the kind of aftermath came much more quickly. And in both of those cases, there was a kind of moment where like, okay, we're going to lights back on and then we're all going to come together. And because there isn't going to be that moment for us with this, it's not going to be like, and now everything's fine and we're all going to come back together. I think what I've started to realize is that, what am I doing to keep myself either distracted or busy, or where is the heat coming from that's fueling me? And is it just actual panic that's keeping me busy, or is it a need to I can see how I can affect change? And I think that it's like, it's a real look at your own, or my own ego with that, but also being able to say, I actually think this is, I am taking the idea of what productivity is from another time being, 3 weeks ago, and I'm trying to put it on top of this time, like in a transparency or something. It doesn't work that way. Productivity now doesn't work the same as it did, in oldie days of before 3 weeks ago. And so I think once you can let go of those ideas of the kind of ways that we operated before, and you stop measuring your daily life now to that, it allows you, I think, to see a little bit, or at least it has for me, a little bit more clearly what I'm doing out of fear, what I'm doing out of panic, what I'm doing to try and organize the chaos, and what actually feels like productive work. But that isn't to say I do it well every day. I think I make a lot of lists, and sometimes I'm just like, I am literally just making a list to make me feel better.
Yeah, I'll like, just to show you we are the same type of person. There's my list. Look at how like it normally, like on a normal day, is like this, and now it's like stretching. It's like I printed out this morning 2 pages. I was like, 2 pages. It's like your grocery shopping list at Costco, Leigh.
Yeah, exactly. I will say also it's so weird because so many days can go by and you're just like, wow, I haven't actually put on a pair of shoes, or like I really haven't taken a shower. And so I've also weirdly started to put some very basic human necessities on that list just so I can feel like, oh, I did that today. Yeah. Let's go to just a few questions just about directing in general and your work in general. Drew Rieger just popped up here. When you're directing a premiere, so world premiere, do you work closely with, like, how closely do you work with the writer on that development, or just you take the book and then run with it? So talk about that. I am all about collaboration. I do plays because I love writers. I love working with writers. I feel like I am in this business because I love to sit in the back of a dark theater with a writer and like try and figure what we're doing, what story we're trying to tell, how we can tell it better. I love writers. I feel so lucky that I've directed 52 or 53 new plays in New York, and I have chosen to work that way because the collaboration with writers is how I know how to go to work. I don't know, when I've worked on plays without the writer there, I feel, I love directing and I like that process, but it's so much better when when it's just like, oh, we don't know what the show is, we're trying to make a show together, and I believe my work plus their work is always going to be better than my work alone. And that is that fundamental partnership is so exciting to me, particularly when it's really challenging. And I feel so lucky. There's a number of writers that I've worked with 3-4 more times, and I feel like the process just gets deeper and more challenging. It is Bess Wall, whose play I just directed, Grand Horizons. I directed actually her first play that she ever did in New York, called American Hero, and then I had the great privilege of directing her Broadway debut this year. And it's like, even though she's had a whole bunch of plays and had a wild amount of success between American Hero and Grand Horizons, we to sort of come back to that collaboration, and she's a different artist and I'm a different artist, and to be engaged in that level of conversation where you both can kind of see the vague outline of the thing that you're trying to make somewhere in the distance, and you're both just trying to get there in the most exciting way. And it's not about agreement, and it's not about getting along. It's frequently about being kind of brave enough to tussle around it, and keeping your ego outside and just wanting what's best for the thing itself. And that's what I love about directing new plays.
What a great answer. And we got to get her on the podcast. I got to get her on the live stream as well. She's so good. She's always so inspiring to me. 50-something new plays, is that what you said? 50-something new plays?
Something like that, yeah.
Crazy. Which goes to Justin's question here. Just physically, logistically, when you're not in a pandemic and you're not, how do you manage so many different projects at once? So how do you keep them all straight? Are you like an intense Virgo OCD type person? Are you like whatever, you just figure it out? Like how do you do it? You're running a business. You are running your own business, really.
It's true. Justin, thank you for that question. I have to say that spinning a lot of plates is kind of what we do. I think that figuring out how to compartmentalize a lot of different projects, because not really any one project, you never know what's going to go. So I have a lot of things in development. I have a lot of things in pre-production. And then when you're working on stuff, being able to balance stuff that's coming down the pike and also with what's in front of you is a really big part of the job. And I will say that because it's not a real high paying kind of gig, that for many years, really just until the last couple of years, I really had to do between 5 and 7 shifts to make a living in New York. And if I had a show that was at a theater, was a higher paying contract, more if a series of smaller shows, and I never felt like I wanted to make a decision that was sort of based around how much money I was going to get paid. I wanted to work on the art, and so it doesn't matter to me where the show is, but it does mean that I have to do a lot of shows. And sometimes people have said to me, how do you choose? And I said, choosing is a luxury. Choosing is only something I've had in the last 2 years maybe, and I've been at this for a long time. Choosing is what happens after. If you're only really in the luckiest place of privilege, choice wasn't part of the equation for the first 21 years of my career. I did everything that I possibly could, partly to pay my rent, but partly because that's really what I felt like I had to do. And I think that there's so many opportunities that I have that I could never have imagined having, but it took a while to get to a place where I could say no, and I in a way it's something that I feel very proud to have earned, is in a way the right to say no.
Well, all that work and all that effort and doing all those things, that story sounds very familiar to me, and I know a lot. You're doing 100 different things, and eventually it just takes a lot longer than you think. But eventually it starts to pay off, and I have no doubt, knowing your incredible talent and just your desire to get things done, you're going to have your choice of many great projects in the future. I just hope you choose me to do a couple shows with as we get through this. Thank you for choosing to be on with us tonight. It means the world.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Ken. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Oh, good. Well, you take care. Stay inside. Call Costco. Have them deliver. We'll see you very soon. Bye, Leigh.
Right. Stay healthy, everybody. Take care.
Leigh Silverman, everybody. I'll get that out. She's a fantastic lady and very inspiring. I love that she's just taking the reins of her own projects like that. If she didn't say, you know what, F it, we're going to do this online workshop, it wouldn't happen. That's what being a leader is all about, and that's what being a director is, being a captain of a ship. She is the perfect example of what I call an entrepreneur. She's making shit happen herself, even in the midst of all this. I hope that's inspiring to you about whatever you're working on, that you can also help make things happen. Just do one little thing. And frankly, it's just saying that. It's just saying, hey, we're going to do this. You'll find that the people around you just say okay, we'll do it. Especially now, because people actually want to do something. So if you want to do something, if you want to do a virtual reading, if you want to do an online book club, if you want to play Dungeons and Dragons online, I haven't played it since 8th grade. Maybe it's time for a comeback. If you want to do that, just throw it out there. Throw it out on your Facebook page, email some friends. Do you want to do this? That first step, that first piece of action, or what I call serving the tennis ball, starts the game. And right now, there's a whole bunch of people just craving to do something with you. I know it. If it's theater related or not, get together however you can with some people and do something. just like Leigh has done and will do for the rest of her career. Special huge thanks to Drew Gasparini, still recovering, for joining us tonight and giving us that very important message to stay home. You just don't want to get this thing. You just don't want to get it. So stay home. And all of you people, I know you're staying home because you're staying home and watching. Tell everyone you know to stay home. Stay the heck home. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay home. Don't forget about the Actors Fund. Don't forget, we're here every single night at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow night, flash it on the screen, Mary, Dina, my producer, Sergio Trujillo. Ooh, special. Take note, 8:45. It's the late edition of the Producer's Perspective Live. 8:45. It's very important. We had to go very late. You know why? Sergio has to put his kid to bed first. Is that the best? Tony Award-winning choreographers, they got to put their kids to bed. So, and what it's great, he was like, I'm not invading my kids' bath time and bedtime. It's awesome. I love that commitment. We're going to talk about that balance of family life and professional life because he's one of the most prolific choreographers there are working these days. Fantastic guy as well. So join us tomorrow for Sergio. Do you have the lineup for the week, Mary? You going to put that whole thing up? I mean, we're going well beyond this. We have Janine Tesori on Saturday. Look at next week. Look at that. Kevin McCullum, superstar producer, multi-Tony Award winner. Andrew Lipp, Alani Price, Damien. Look at that great lineup for next week. And now it's our new featured segment. Something to make you smile. We're going to end. Oh, look at that. I haven't even seen that graphic. Well done, Mary. Something to make you smile. We're going to end every single one of these episodes with something to make you smile. This one is another video, Not to Be Outdone, by Ryan Duncan, my Getting the Band Back Together actor who recreated that character that we put on the blog and last night. Not to Be Outdone, another Getting the Band Back Together character, and also an awesome 80s prom actor, I should say, another actor from both of those shows. One of the first actors I ever on. Prom was my first show I produced. This guy was one of the first actors to say, I'll do your show. I don't even know what it is, but I will do it. His name is Brandon Williams. He met his wife, Sheila, who is in this video with him, on the Awesome 80s Prom. They were cast members together. They got married. Now they have 5 kids, all because of that show. And they did this incredible parody video. Brandon is one of the funniest guys I know. He did this parody video about homeschooling. I won't tell you what song they're parodying, but it's a treat. He's got news pickup already. Another great example of an entrepreneur. That guy, he's making something. He's taking this time to make something with his family, and he's making a lot of people smile in the process. Click that link, watch it, show him some love, and enjoy. We will see you tomorrow, guys. Keep that smile on your face. We're going to get through this together.